Hi again, everyone. It's Mr. Most Days Off.
And I'm the Whiz Kid.
And we're here today to talk about our sponsor, PopThreads.com, your online destination for all pop culture t-shirts. And right now, for our listeners, you can save 15% when you use the discount code Simpsons at checkout.
Woohoo!
And they don't just have Simpsons shirts, they also have things like old school Nickelodeon, and they've even got us wrestling fans covered.
They also have tons of TV shows like The Walking Dead and Game of Thrones, and even movie shirts like Star Wars and Die Hard.
So make sure you head over to popthreads.com right now.
And use the discount code Simpsons at checkout so you can save a lot of dope!
Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the Best Darn Diddly Review Show. This is a weekly podcast for anyone who loves The Simpsons or ever has loved The Simpsons, hosted by two dudes who grew up on The Simpsons. My name is Miles, better known as Mr. Most Days Off, and this week we're going to be doing things just a little bit out of order. We had a little bit of technical difficulty this week. We unfortunately had a wonderful conversation about the classic episode, Homer at the Bat, and lost a fair amount of the audio, but we are working on that. We are going to fix it some way, somehow. We are not going to pass on that A+ episode, but what we are going to do is we're going to play our conversation out of order. So we're actually going to do the second half of our conversation this week, talking about episodes Separate Vocations. Joining me as usual will be your co-host with the most, Richie the Whiz Kid, and our special guest all the way from the Great White North, the Wrassle Nerds, Ripken and Goobs. We're going to go ahead and jump in literally like halfway through our conversation between episodes, so I hope you guys enjoy this as much as we did. That's great. Well, we were just talking about how much fun we're having on this conversation. I'm already dreading the editing, not even going to lie, but...
Good. It's gonna be fucked, man. Sorry about that. I didn't think I could swear, you motherfucker.
I can't believe you thought I was serious, dude. I thought you said you listened to the episode with
No, I listened
earlier.
to the shows, but I thought you might censor this episode just to fuck me over.
Alright, cool. Let's go ahead and dive back into this episode so we can get you guys to work.
Well, I'm on vacation, so.
Yeah, I gotta go to work.
I'm sorry, just give me like 2 seconds here. I'm just calling.
Dude, take your time. No,
He's calling it late right now. You can put this on the show, Calvin calling in late.
Yeah, put it on speaker.
Yeah, hey guys, I won't be there. I'm shooting this awesome fucking podcast, and I really just don't give a shit about you, to be honest. Yeah, well, what do you expect from me? It's just Sobeys, damn it!
Sobeys is a Canadian. I don't know. Do you have Sobeys down there?
The drink?
No, I was going to say, I think it's a drink, right?
No, Sobeys. No, that's Sobey.
Yeah. No, Sobeys is an actual like supermarket chain out here.
Oh, no, we don't have those.
Yeah, no,
okay.
All you do is pull a Homer and
Canadian.
call him and say it's your first day.
Just like we
I
don't
think
have Whataburger. I want
think it would
fucking
be,
Whataburger so bad.
I told you, man, you come down here, you can stay in my guest room, and I'll buy you Whataburger. You're going all the way to New Jersey, man. You're like halfway here.
That's not halfway there.
Yeah, but that's Jersey.
Living on a prayer.
Rich, you don't know this. Goobs is going to spend his first 4th of July in the States this year.
Oh, wow. Welcome. Should
I'm
be
going
fun.
to buy a whole bunch of fucking fireworks. I'm just going to blow the shit out of everything.
I don't know if those are legal in Jersey.
Yeah, I was about to say, be careful, because there's actually a lot of really shit laws about fireworks, and a lot of people every year get a lot of big tickets, because they're not as legal as YouTube would make you think.
My cousin lives, like, in the sticks, so...
Oh, then fucking blow as much shit as you want up, man.
Yeah, no, they have
if you get a
acres
ticket, just go
upon
across the
acres,
border.
so I'm going to be blowing... I'll film it. I'll be an amputee after. Oh, yeah, we have Roman candle fights. Dude, the night I got, like, before the night I got married, we had, like, a big party outside. We all went to a baseball diamond and played Roman fireworks baseball.
No shit, that sounds amazing.
And then I broke my big toe at the end of the night, so I was running around the diamond, bringing it all back to baseball, of course. And I was kicking off sprinkler heads as I was running around the bases, and I broke my big toe, and I flooded the field. Like, there's, like, a whole shit going down the next night. There's cops there, whole bunch of shit.
You're like the worst baseball player I've ever heard of, right?
We were, like, smoking weed on top of the dugouts. It was fucking amazing.
So that sprinkler kicked back.
Yeah, the third one did. It definitely broke my toe. And then I had to walk down the aisle the next day with a broken toe. It fucking sucked.
shit.
Go, guys.
You can keep that in there too if you're recording.
Oh, we're recording.
Admissible
I don't know
evidence.
if I'm gonna try to plug this in somewhere, but I don't know where. We'll figure it out.
I'm good to go. Let's do it.
All right.
Oh.
So let's talk about Separate Vocations, which debuted on February 27th, 1992. The chalk gag on this one was, I will not barf unless I'm sick. And the couch gag was basically the Simpsons all show up and Bart just kind of like poses on their laps and gets the best seat in the house, so to speak.
Again, a chalk gag where it makes you wonder. Someone obviously sat Bart down and said, look, just try not to puke unless you're actually sick, please. All right, like that's disgusting. Which means Bart went to some extremes at one point.
Don't drink a gallon of milk in one sitting.
Yeah, or drink some milk and then drink some orange juice right after or something.
Oh, I'm gonna puke just thinking about that. That's
right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually my favorite part about the chalk gags in general is just some of the absurd visualizations that it makes you have whenever you read these sentences. It's just like when you really like let yourself go to a place and you think about the conversation that led to this chalkboard writing.
What did this detention look like?
Right. It was probably one that Willie was not happy to have to clean up. Let's say that.
It reminded me of Wayne's World.
Do I detect a hint of cinnamon? Ooh, I'll never tell.
Reminded me of Wayne's World, like if you're gonna spew into this.
Dude, this will make you feel old. That movie just had its 25th anniversary this year.
I'm cool with that.
Sir.
I'm almost.
Yep.
Ooh. Yeah. Well, this episode opens up with Miss Krabappel saying that they're going to have a surprise in class today, which gets the students quite excited. Milhouse is thinking like a dude wrestling an alligator.
Not just a dude, a Native American.
Yeah, Native American.
You're right. That's like
be
a cooler
specific.
dude. Yeah. An original dude.
I've never heard that lingo before, but I really like
a native dude, I guess you could say.
Shout out to our brother Andy Briseño, by the
Mexican?
way, who sometimes he's a Mexican who sometimes claims to be Native American when it benefits him. So shout out to him.
I'd like to say
on the show.
how.
Yeah.
We look forward to having.
You are the original dude, my friend.
Hi,
probably won't have
how are
us.
ya? Hi, how are ya?
He'll get it.
Can we tell him that even Canadians make fun of him now?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can.
I'm texting him as we speak.
Hey,
I'm not even waiting for this to get
We at
up.
least apologized to the Native Americans after we stole their land.
Yeah, we just took some more of it.
No, we took more and then gave them Oklahoma.
And then forgot they were ever there.
Hey, we still pay our reparations to the state of Oklahoma in the form of Indian casinos.
Yes.
I know Richie and I have spent a fair share of money, and Andy for that matter, at both Windstar and Choctaw casinos there in southern Oklahoma.
We are actually
they're getting it back.
We are no different up here. Actually, we've got Indian charity casinos as well, and
one's in Niagara Falls.
Yeah,
Who fucking knew?
I know Goobs and I have both given back to the Native American people.
No.
Oh, yeah. We're supporting them.
Oh, okay,
We're supporting
sorry.
them.
Goobs is only taken.
I feel like I've lost enough that I'm due a couple of blankets at least, frankly.
At least a piece.
SARS free, mind you. SARS free.
We raped them and they've raped us right back.
Well, in addition to that, we also get the twins.
The Simpsons?
Yeah, something like that. We also get the twins fantasizing about elves giving out lollipops, and Bart thinks today just might be the day that Mrs. Krabappel pulls her face off to reveal that she is in fact a robot.
Yes.
I thought it was an alien.
Yeah, it was an alien, yeah.
Oh, was it an alien? Oh, I thought it was a robot. I must be tripping.
Think about robots playing baseball.
I wrote down
again.
robot. Yeah, maybe that's what
It's
it
not
was.
a gizmo.
But unfortunately, that was not the surprise. None of those were. But the surprise was that they will be taking a test. And just in that moment, we get Bart groaning. And at the same time, we see Mrs. Hoover telling Lisa's class that they'll also
That's just
be
Miss
taking a
Hoover, by
test.
the way.
Miss Hoover, you're right. Miss Hoover tells Lisa's class they'll be taking a test. But Lisa is quite excited as she loves tests. Yeah. And this, of course, sets up the dichotomy between these two characters in that Bart is the rebellious, hates the system type, whereas Lisa absolutely loves being part of the school.
Yes.
I just love the test name. It's the Career Aptitude Normalizing Test. Or can't.
Can't.
Some of the questions, too, like, for instance, would you rather be a carpenter ant, a shark, or a lawyer bird? And the worst one, though, was, do you prefer the smell of gasoline, French fries, or bank customers?
So Lisa definitely noted down number 3 on that.
Yeah, she definitely said bank customers on that. I don't know if you caught that, but that was definitely her answer.
No, I didn't catch that. But I mean, of the 3, frankly, that's probably my choice too.
And, no, I love the smell of gasoline, man.
Well, it shows off, Goobs.
Thanks, man.
And like, funnily enough, just going back to that first question there, it makes me actually wonder if at some point in his life, Harvey Birdman took the exact same career aptitude test and was all over the lawyer bird.
Dude, did you ever play those video games, specifically on the DS?
The Harvey Birdman?
Yeah.
I have not, no.
I played Ace Attorney.
Yeah, Ace Attorney, yeah. It was on the one on the DS, right?
Yeah. Oh, I love Ace Attorney.
I never had a DS, but that was one of the games that always made me really want it, because I heard that game was really fun.
Those are fun.
Oh, it's really fun to object things. Object!
Yeah.
Make like
Objection!
A big statement about it.
And then you get it completely wrong.
In like 15 years, when I buy a DS for $1 at a garage sale, I'm gonna really hope I find that game. But it'll probably be the situation that cartridge will cost like $150.
Yeah, no doubt.
So.
Well, I got the games in the original factor, so I can send them down and you can send them back.
God, that's Canadian of you.
Thanks.
I thought that was Indian giving.
Harvey Birdman definitely took that test and then answered that first question and then didn't answer a single question beyond
Nope. That was it. Yep. He's like, I'm good.
I'm a lawyer bird.
But yeah, so all these tests get sent to the Kant Institute in, was it Iowa, I believe it was?
Yes.
And they go to a big machine and they dump it all. Oh, the sign on the front said controlling live since 1925. I thought that was worth noting. Bart's test goes through the system and causes a total meltdown. But the way they fix it is there's just this old guy with a broom who pokes at the machine for a while and says, "Get it together, Edna."
Emma. I believe it was Emma.
Emma, excuse me.
Come on, Emma.
Get Krabappel out of your head tonight, jeez.
You have a thing for redheads, I feel here, Miles.
I do have a thing for redheads. You've clearly seen my wife.
My wife's brunette, black hair.
Yeah, I would love to have that job, by the way. I would love to work anywhere and just be the guy who pokes the machine with the broomstick.
While sitting down.
I just thought you wanted to poke something named Emma.
Oh, man, you're bringing back... That was my first girlfriend's name. Terrible memories.
I was thinking like Emelina, back to Emma, but I was doing a wrestling
now that
thing.
I would take a poke at.
That's a wrestling reference, folks.
Yeah, there's dude. I try to sprinkle in as many of these as I can. Maybe I shouldn't be saying this, and I should have just like kept it going. But yeah, I constantly sprinkle like wrestling jargon into the show just because I know Richie doesn't really get it, and it makes me laugh.
I appreciate.
So I'm really glad y'all are here.
Sprinkling in those references makes you the absolute ultimate podcast warrior. It's all good, bro. Yes,
wrestling is a real sport, WizKid.
It's still real to me, damn it.
That's right.
Hey, it's more real than NASCAR.
NASCAR, what? Fucking turn left for a whole bunch of times?
I said it's more real than NASCAR.
Oh, okay,
thank God.
Thank you, Richie.
Richie, I didn't want to find out you were one of those guys who loves people driving around in a circle for fucking like 800 times.
There's somebody very close to you right now that does.
Full disclosure, I used to, for what it's worth.
No.
I actually enjoyed NASCAR for a number of years, but I found, here's the thing. I don't know what this says about me as a person, but I found that every time they added another safety regulation, the sport got more boring to the point where I eventually just turned it off.
All right,
no one else can die?
All right, guys, you have to wear seatbelts from now on. Oh, fuck this.
Pretty much, yeah. The seatbelt was the straw that broke the camel's back.
He made me watch a race once, and I fell asleep like 30 laps.
I'm pretty sure The Simpsons has even covered it before, where they've gone to a NASCAR event and all the crowd did the entire time was wait for someone to crash. And every time the opportunity came close, you had the entire crowd going, oh! And then when the crash never happened, they were like, oh.
So I know you're not necessarily familiar with Texas Motor Speedway, but we have a big NASCAR venue down here not too far from us.
Okay.
And it's got a very similar track to a lot of them, and it's called a dogleg track. And it's essentially where it's an oval track with like a mini fifth turn called the dogleg.
Okay.
And the entire point of that whole fucking turn, I swear, I don't know of any other reason it could possibly be other than to cause more wrecks. Good. Because that is all it fucking does.
That's NASCAR.
I'm sure there's a NASCAR fan out there that's like, no. It does this because of the principle of wind force on the G-force of the tire force. But fuck that. It's to cause more goddamn wrecks. Yeah, exactly.
I've watched friends race there. Kyle, Miles, and Tyler. They took their personal cars there to race. And I'm pretty sure that's the one side they didn't use. Like, they just do the straightaway, and it ends right before the turn. But they do it from the other turn so that they don't actually have to go around it. So, like, if you're not even going to let people do that, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah. You're basically telling them that don't take this turn because you'll die here.
And I thought Texas Motor Speedway only had Titty Alley.
Titty Alley.
Titty Alley?
That sounds like something right out of Grease.
That's actually a real thing. Okay, so when I was into NASCAR, let me just say this. I went to high school directly across the street from Texas Motor Speedway to the point where when they had races, the school had no choice but to shut down school because the traffic was so bad. So I actually had holidays in school based on the NASCAR race schedule.
That's sweet.
With that said,
it's so white trash.
I want to say that it totally is. But me and my friends would go over there and camp, and dude, like, we were totally underage, and it was so easy to get beer because they didn't care. And like, it was called Titty Alley because literally it was just like these white trash chicks that would like throw their tits up for free beers and shit. And
it's like a
fucking great.
Mini parade of women taking their tops off.
As like a 17-year-old, there isn't a place on earth I'd rather be. I mean, there probably are, but I didn't know how to
As a 33-year-old, there's no place I'd rather be.
Tell us more about this Titty Alley.
We're coming down just for Titty Alley.
It still happens. I've been there once.
He's gonna make that drive from Jersey after all.
Not to see any racing, though.
Yeah, fuck racing. Titties!
It's like the party before the race, I think.
The night before is the big party for sure, but then like there's some honors till well after the race. But yeah, the race is usually on Sunday, and that Saturday night is just fucking insane.
Lots of moonshine.
But people start partying from about Wednesday night. So I mean, it was a hell of a good time in high school. Anyway, moving back to the Simpsons, who happened to be sponsoring NASCAR this year, I noticed during the Super Bowl, they had a Daytona 500 race that had Homer Simpson driving in the race itself.
That's funny.
Just kind of trying to segue back to what we were talking about.
Very well done.
Yeah, thank you. Lisa and Bart get the results of their aptitude test, and it turns out that Lisa, for some reason, has been told she's going to be a homemaker, which seems absurd to me. And Bart finds out that he's going to be a cop.
Now,
one of my favorite lines, the guidance counselor is like, hey, I could arrange for you to have a ride along. And Bart's like, hey, man, I don't need your help to get into the back of a police car.
Ain't that the God honest truth?
Yeah.
We all know the way.
Now, going back to Lisa, too, I don't know what you'd call him. I guess the guidance counselor, the school psychiatrist, whatever you want to call him, is Dr. J. Lorne Pryor. I did my research beforehand. He's been in a few episodes.
He has.
But I love how he tries to reassure Lisa after telling her, like, she reads the paper and she says, a homemaker? And she's all confused. And he looks at her, he's like, like a mommy. As if that's supposed to be like this.
That's like makes it better.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
Like, you'll just be a woman who pops out some kids and does the dishes. Like, it's awesome.
Hey, Ripken, one fun fact you may not know about that doctor or that character. We've actually talked about it once before on the show, but we'll go ahead and say it again. It's been a while. That counselor character, that was actually the original design for Principal Skinner.
Get out of here.
Before Skinner. Yeah, in the second episode where it's Bart the Genius is where he debuts. And they talk about that in the commentary, I do believe it was, where that was actually character art for Principal Skinner that got denied, but they liked the look of the character, so they decided to keep it around for something else.
Yeah. No, he's been in a few episodes, so yeah, I know I didn't know that about Principal Skinner though. So my goodness.
Well, fun fact for you, there, man, and all the listeners who missed our first episode.
Yeah.
The more you know.
And knowing is half the battle.
I think
Damn right.
might have passed by this, but I would like to see. We were talking about rated R movies earlier, and I really love to see a rated R movie based on Bart the Drifter.
Oh hell yeah, I'd watch that. It'd be like an updated Mad Max.
Yeah.
Or like Rundown, like going back to the town.
Oh, okay,
nice.
Okay.
Because, because when Bart gets his test back and it tells him police officer, Dr. Pryor tells him, well, at first we had you pegged for a drifter. Yeah. And Bart immediately goes into his head and pictures this badass lousy sheriff trying to run me out of town.
Which is funny that he actually ends up on the other side of that. Like he's saying a lousy sheriff, but he actually ends up getting
now
those
he
kind
basically
of results.
is the sheriff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I never even thought of that.
Clever writers.
Damn you.
Damn you for being better than all of us.
Damn you for teaching.
Ain't that the truth?
Damn you for going to Harvard.
Right? Most of them. Well, this aptitude test has caused quite the role reversal at the Simpsons house, whereas at dinner they're talking and Lisa is basically of the opinion a homemaker. I might as well be dead.
Yeah.
To which I'm surprised Marge didn't take more of it.
Really? No, it's true,
offended, but I mean, really that's what Marge is, and I mean she's a damn good one. And for what it's worth, I think we should all note, I think we would all agree that being a homemaker and doing a good job at it is a hell of a hard job.
Oh, for sure.
And one that's underappreciated. So like somebody like a Marge, I think, doesn't get enough credit a lot of times, even today. But at the same time, you can understand where an 8-year-old girl would have aspirations outside of the house.
Yes, absolutely. I think Marge was just trying to be a good mom in the sense of not getting angry and trying to point out the positives in it. And to that sense, if I can just say, Marge is probably the best TV mom. Not many TV moms out there.
I think hands down.
Yeah, not many TV moms out there have raised 3 kids. You've got like the mom from Malcolm in the Middle, but at the same time, she didn't have the patience that Marge has.
No, a lot of the humor from that show is her like blowing up, whereas that only happens very seldomly on the
Very
Simpsons.
seldomly. I can't even think of something off the top of my head with Marge blowing.
Actually, like the last one of the last episodes we did was where Marge goes to Relaxo.
Rancho Relaxo.
Yeah. She actually has a meltdown on the bridge where she like causes like a major traffic jam.
Right.
So that would be one example, and there are a few others down the road, but they are not very often.
Not weekly like it is on other shows.
That's almost the thing with that bridge one. It's almost like Marge has been through so much as a TV mom that she was kind of owed.
Justified. Yeah, you totally
They make you feel sorry
it.
for her, like especially as an adult when you watch that episode, you're like, how has this not happened sooner?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, no, like you got a kid like Bart and a husband like Homer. You're only getting to this bridge now.
That makes you feel sorry for my wife right now. Because I'm pretty much here. Homer.
We're getting serious.
And my son is pretty much Bart. He's a little asshole, but we love him.
I'm pretty much Maggie.
Shout out to Zim, dude. I love your little guy, man. He's awesome. He does your wrestling predictions better than any of us.
He's done well.
Didn't he not win? Didn't he win the last time?
Yeah, he helped us tie. Yeah, he helped us tie.
Zim, if your parents are irresponsible enough to let you listen to this show, then shout out to you, little guy.
His middle name is Bruce Wayne.
Fuck yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
I had to show people his fucking like social insurance card, pretty much, to show them that his name is legit.
Goobs, I like you 3 times as much as I did previously, which still isn't a lot. Don't get your big head or anything, but like it's grown.
I don't have a big head, but 1 inch thick.
Ladies, mimosa.
I was thinking
about how you said big head and has grown.
After we actually watched, I guess during the fact that we were watching the episode, I actually asked Goobs and his wife, who was watching it with us, and I'll ask you guys the same thing. Have you guys ever had to take like a test like that? Did you guys ever have to take a test in school that like potentially gave you an idea of what you were going to be when you got older?
Never once, but I do have kind of a fun story that makes me look like a dumbass, but I'm totally willing to tell it.
Please
right now.
do.
So, I took the pre-SAT, like, from a young, like, my parents had me taking it since I was in, like, I don't want to, like, underestimate, but, like, I was taking classes for it, like, in middle school. Jesus. So, like,
what's the SAT?
My parents always wanted me to go in college. Yeah, exactly, right? Well, my parents always wanted me to go to college. I ended up going. It turned out to be the greatest thing because I met my best friend and my wife. But what I did not do is go to class. So I spent a lot of money on these two people. But I had a hell of a lot of fun and a hell of a lot of good stories in the process. Regardless, at a very young age, I took the pre-SAT. And during that test, at some point, apparently, when they are, when you're filling out your information, at some point you write down what you want to be. And I wrote down, like most people who are in, like, the 7th grade, I wanted to be a marine biologist.
Not a transformer,
dope, right? Turtles, dolphins. Well, I hadn't gotten to the point where I wanted to be a pro wrestler yet. I had either that or probably grown out of it. But regardless, I wanted to be a marine biologist at one point. And so, anyway, I forget about that part, and I take the pre-SAT, and then however many weeks or months later, you get the results back. And I remember it comes back, and on the front, it had a deal where it was like, career occupation, marine biologist. And me, growing up on television, like many children of the mid-'80s and early 90s, I just was
you were ecstatic.
Obviously convinced. I was ecstatic because this test that I took, like they take on TV, that tells you what career you're going to have or how successful you're going to be in life, said that I was going to be a marine fucking biologist. So, like, woohoo! And then I, like, had this, like, crushing moment of realization where I was like, oh, that's what I selected as a
I told
dream.
them that.
Manatees hate me.
Yeah.
Fuck this.
Dude, I did the PSAT and it never asked me what job you wanted. And I did the SAT too, and, like, never got any of that kind of questioning before.
This was, like, some program I did in middle school that, like, I think part of the questionnaire was, like, your goals and aspirations, because it was, like, a prep course and shit.
Yeah, we had a couple of those kind of tests.
If you had written something like homeless
Drifter.
person or drug dealer.
Hey, man, that was some good money in the college years for that second one.
I'd say that is great money, yeah.
I can tell you that
full
firsthand.
disclosure, true story, that's how I got to know some of the more prestigious guests on my show.
Including us.
Including these guys.
I thought you guys looked familiar.
You just had to flee the country to Canada.
Yeah. I had to take one of these tests back in the day that told us what job we're going to do and everything. I ended up being an artist and like a park enforcer, like going around parks and like.
So are you supposed to, like, go graffiti the forest or something?
Exactly.
Like, just tag pine trees?
Yeah, that was supposed to be my job.
Hey, man, it's not too late. They've got Home Depot in Canada, right? Go get you some spray paint and get out there.
I am not going to work at Home Depot. I'm unionized, man. Unionized.
Check marks on trees and shit. Yeah, no, this one's good. This one's alive.
This one's piney.
You take the syrup right from the stalk of the branch.
I never had to take one of those tests. I took 1,000 Scantron tests, but do you guys know what Scantron is?
882E.
Yeah. I took 1,000 of those, but not one of them ever told me what I was potentially going to be when I got older. So I was actually kind of interested to know if these were, like, real tests.
If you're listening to this and you still have to take Scantron tests, let me tell you, there is a surprising amount of truth in when in doubt, pick C.
Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah, no, always pick
on a
C.
true-false question.
That's all I did.
Yeah, don't pick C on a true-false. That's a good point.
It's neither.
Not because most of the case in real life, that's true.
So yeah, back to the Simpsons household. We got Bart and Lisa going down two very opposite paths all of a sudden. Bart is now on the path to being on the side of authority. In fact, it even gets to the point where Principal Skinner is so shocked by this, but then realizes the potential and says, "Have you ever considered being hall monitor?" Meanwhile, Marge is trying to convince Lisa that everything's going to be okay, and she doesn't just have to be a homemaker. So she takes her to a musician shop and basically has her play jazz for her, or the blues, excuse me. And the guy, though, has some awful but funny but just so horrible line. He's like, "I'm going to be frank. And by frank, I mean devastating.
Devastating.
You will never be a blues musician because you have stubby fingers. Most likely passed down from your dad's side.
What's even funnier is as she's playing her music is he's all about it. He's like, oh yeah. He's digging
her style. Like,
yeah,
for sure.
That's great. And then once she's finished, that's when he says, you know what? I'm gonna be devastating.
We skipped over the previous day where they're eating dinner at the dinner table. And when Bart brings up that he's supposed to be a policeman, Marge says, Homer once wanted to be a police officer, but they said he was too heavy. And then Homer says, no, that was the army said I was too heavy. The police said I was too dumb.
We also skipped over the whole ride along where
yes, we did.
Where Eddie and Lou show up to the house to pick up Bart, and there's Homer who answers the door and said, I didn't actually steal that copper wire. I thought they were just throwing it out.
Right now.
They don't even care.
And then I love when Bart comes up and he's like, hey, can I see your club?
It's called a baton, son.
Oh, what do you do with it?
For clubbing people.
And then the old lady across the street, as Bart's getting into the back of the car, is like, oh, it's about time.
Yeah.
Man, she shows up so much in the first 3 seasons. Like later on in the later years, you never see her. But she this is like her 5th or 6th episode we've seen her in at least.
Yeah. She's definitely not as prominent now.
WizKid, she probably died.
There's a good chance of that, yeah.
Death is highly probable.
Yeah. No, it's not. There's only been like one character on The Simpsons that's ever died, and it was Maude.
No, there's been like 3 or 4 now.
Yeah, actually, Krusty's father just died.
Bleeding Gums Murphy and Marvin Monroe don't count. They were never popular characters.
Fair enough.
True story.
And you never actually saw Dr. Marvin Monroe die.
Exactly.
Yeah. But apparently, now I could be wrong here, but again, totally sidetracking here. I could be wrong here, but when the Simpsons movie came out, right at the end, I believe they attempted to kill off Dr. Nick Riviera.
Yeah, I've always been unsure about that.
But I'm not sure since the movie if he has since come back.
And I haven't really watched a lot of the episodes past when the movie came out. Because the movie came out between 17 and 18, I believe.
Yeah.
So I do own season 20. That came out as like a anniversary special I picked up, and I've watched all of those. But I've seen very few and far between outside of that. I've watched a couple more recently. Like I watched the Empire episode. It was actually really funny. I laughed a lot at that one. Regardless, it definitely is something that I would be curious to know if Dr. Nick Riviera has been around more since then. I do not know.
Hope he is. I like Dr. Nick.
He's a great
Hi,
character.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Hi, Dr. Nick.
Maybe they just figured because they already had a pretty prominent doctor character that they didn't need a second one, even though he's been pretty prominent throughout the whole thing.
I didn't know inflammable meant flammable.
Exactly.
Well, I have to say, while the cops are taking Bart around and kind of showing him why it's awesome to be a cop, they point out the mayor doing some public service, I think it was. And I have to say, Rich, I think we have a better pickup line than Mimosa in how would you like me to name a street after you? I'm just saying, that's a guaranteed panty dropper right there. Or boxer dropper. We don't discriminate here on the best.
So am I going to see a Goob's Lane down in Texas when they come down to visit?
You're not worth the whole street.
Damn it!
Actually started to make me wonder if, not so much, but, not even deny that are cops really like that? Like, would you?
Well, have you seen Superbad by chance?
I have, of course. And that's
it
very
feels
similar.
Pretty much in the same line, yeah.
There's a lot of Canadians in that movie. Of course, you've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It's like you're half your country. You feel obligated after that.
But yeah, even when Bart asks them from the back, do you need straight A's to be a cop? And they just laugh. Yeah.
Flushing out.
Do you even need an education period to be a cop?
Well, dude, right after that, they're trying to call in the robbery that they just drove by happening, and he's like calling in. It's a red car.
Yeah,
and then he's reading the fucking license plate says ex-con, and he's like trying to have to spell it out.
He says
eggplant Xerxes. Yeah, eggplant Xerxes, crybaby, overbite, narwhal.
Yes. What a great phonetic alphabet.
We have to point out that Apu is just grateful that the robber snake used nylon rope, and it's much softer and gentler.
I think he got a little more off on that than everyone thought. He really enjoyed having the nylon rope.
Yeah, he really liked the nylon rope.
I mean, when you're
What's
shot,
his wife's
stabbed,
name?
and robbed.
Manjula?
Manjula Nahasapima Pedalon.
She wouldn't be at this point, though.
Well, apparently she's into the kinky stuff, too. Gotta be, to be with a guy like Apu.
Hit a rhyme.
She might like a on her chest.
Oh, shit.
Nice.
Literally.
And we're canceled.
Sorry, boys.
We haven't been canceled yet. I think you're okay.
Yeah, we're probably fine. I love that Bart gets like the ultimate ride along, and he gets a high speed chase. And there's also this great moment where a milk truck explodes.
Yes.
It made me think of the movie 21 Jump Street, where they're doing a scene at the end where just all these things are exploding, nothing is exploding, even though they think everything should be.
I thought it was going to explode.
It kind of just they kind of point out the fact that they absurdly explode things in action movies, and I feel like this is the same joke. So I'm going to stretch and say Simpsons did it, but it's told in a completely different way.
Goobs actually even pointed out that the whole car chase itself was reminiscent of the movie Bullet, or movies like Bullet and the French Connection.
I think it's from 1968.
With them going over the bumps in the road and like getting seriously airborne and stuff. So
even like the like parking lot dark alley with the lights coming back on.
Well, and the way that they do the Act 2 thing with the to be continued, that's very, very reminiscent of like old time cop drama shows and such.
Yeah.
Honestly, I even thought of Batman for a second with the way they used to do like the tune in next time for same bat time, same bat channel. And then they did the thing where the car gets stuck in the alley just like Batman Returns did. So I was thinking Batman, and I'm like, nah, I'm not going to talk about Batman. But then they did the alley thing, and I'm like, holy shit, Batman Returns. Like, I've got to talk about Batman.
Literally.
Which I have an issue with that, because that is the one way in and out of that parking lot. So Snake clearly drove in there through that alleyway, and he fit. So how come he didn't fit on the way out?
It's like a Harry Potter style. Maybe Maggie was helping save her brother's life.
Maybe so.
That seems
You're strong with the Force.
To be the case, you go in, you can't always come out.
Yeah. So it's basically like one of those finger traps. That's what the alley worked as.
Oh, it's a good thing that it narrowed in the middle.
Stick it in a finger trap, and you fight it out and see what happens.
And you're the two best friends that anyone ever had.
Oh, we are. But yeah, that was literally the ultimate ride-along, because at no point, if you ever go on a ride-along, will one of the cops hand you a gun and say, this is highly unorthodox, but will you cover us?
And then, dude, Bart actually shoots down Snake in the face. Like, when he's staring him down, he has the courage, and then he throws the gun, which I thought was funny. But yeah, like, good for Bart, not just cowering. I mean, that's some,
he got some
balls.
I don't know if there's ever been a bloodier scene on The Simpsons, but this was pretty bad. When the Snake came out of the windshield, there's blood fucking everywhere.
He was dead as fuck, right? Like, how does he come back?
Oh, no.
And then Wakem tried to make a joke saying, you won the lottery, straight to jail. Well, he's unconscious. They can still hear that. He might not be like unconscious. He's probably dead. Like after going through a windshield and taking all those shards of glass to the face and like major arteries, you're fucked.
Snake has the best reactions to getting hurt whatsoever.
Well, they're always so just like chill. Like they're never like he's not upbeat. He's just like, oh, dude, he's almost got like a Keanu Reeves thing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
He's been in worse situations in his life. He used to be an archaeologist. So
Keanu Reeves up here in Canada.
Who doesn't?
Have you seen John Wick? Those movies are badass.
Yeah.
I haven't seen number 2, but dude, I don't care that dog got killed. Take that.
Oh, dude, I don't want to talk about that, actually. That really
That's why I said it.
Oh. But those movies are badass. I like Keanu Reeves from Point Break. That's my favorite version
Point
of him. And I think it's the part that
butter.
I fucking love that movie, dude.
No!
Fire! Oh yeah!
I like that when Hot Fuzz did it better.
No, Hot Fuzz does not do that better. Keanu Reeves in the first place.
I'm just kidding.
I'm with you, Goobs. I'm with you, buddy.
And like someone told me a guy I work with came to, he's like, I saw the new Point Break. I'm like, I won't watch it. They're like, why? Because I'm like, Keanu Reeves is in it, and it's fucking bullshit.
And Patrick Swayze.
He loved that movie, and he went back and watched the original. He got like, I got 15 minutes through, and I had to shut it off. I'm like, don't even talk to me anymore.
Wait, the original he had to shut off?
Yeah.
Fuck you, whoever this person is Goobs is talking about right now. I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
Fuck.
Do it. Fuck this guy.
James Planinitis. James
Planinitis. Here is a giant fuck you directly from both at Best Darn Diddly, and may I be free enough to speak again for the Wrassle Nerds as well.
Oh yeah, no, you're more than free to speak for us.
That sounds like such a Canadian last name.
I really hope this is one of our random listeners. How fucking ridiculous would that be?
Personally
He's going to be like, fuck you guys. I'm never listening. He's probably our only listener, and we just lost him.
Worth it.
Totally. Fuck you.
He's like, the new one was so, like, high energy and high def. It was so great, man. All the action stuff. I'm like, yeah, but you don't know the four presidents, motherfucker.
You did have those in the new one. It's just not that.
Not as good, though, man.
No.
I won't even watch the new one, so I can't even compare it, because Point Break is the original.
Hollywood's out of ideas, hence why they're remaking movies like Point Break.
They have been pretty much since we've been alive, sadly,
yes.
is the thing. That's the troubling part. But we're just now getting to the age where we notice.
And honestly, it's shows like The Simpsons that didn't help by coming in and taking every possible idea before Hollywood got the chance to do it.
There's a reason we say Simpsons did it so fucking often, yeah.
Exactly.
And speaking of Simpsons did it, they did this episode. So let's talk a little bit more about that. We get back to Lisa, who is struggling with this idea that she is a homemaker and that's all she's meant for.
Yeah.
Marge tries to tell an inspiring story about when she was a little girl and how she wanted to be an astronaut, even though her sisters told her there was no such thing because they would be too distracting for the men astronauts.
Good point.
No, I feel like her sisters.
Marge goes on to say, though, there will be women astronauts one day, and there will even be colonies living on the moon. And you know what, Lisa? I was right. Well, about the female astronauts, not the colonies thing. I was pretty wrong about that. But that means you know my point, which means everyone can be wrong sometimes.
I love how it's almost like she was trying to convince her that being a homemaker and a mom is awesome, and then it turned into, well, maybe your guidance counselor was wrong.
She really didn't have a lot of ground to stand on in that argument, I don't think.
No.
Lisa decides to go the exact opposite way. She becomes Bart, but even more Bart than Bart.
Yeah, it's
started.
True.
Like, she goes hardcore. She goes to the bad girls' bathroom.
Yep.
And she tells them instantly how they can make a bigger impact instead of just egging the school. No, you've got to go for what Skinner really loves.
Yeah.
The Puma Pride Puma.
And you know what?
Sure enough,
what's funny about the Springfield Pumas is I went to a high school called Pine Ridge, and my high school team was the Pine Ridge Pumas.
Oh wow!
I know all about Puma Pride, my friend. So
did you get a little offended when you saw the atrocity?
I felt Skinner's pain, man.
We lived in the same region here. He had the Pumas, and I had the Pickering High School Trojans. We were named after a condom.
Basically, you were all a bunch of, mistakes, is what you're saying.
We're not very clever up here in Canada.
What I wanted to point out is...
We go to a gas station, we see a package hanging behind the cash register, and we're like, you know what? We're going to name our high school team after that right there.
I really like the little soldier guy. He looks intimidating.
Is Springfield Elementary always the Pumas? I thought they'd become the Wildcats eventually. Because I remember an episode where they're like, "Who are we? The Wildcats."
Is the Wildcats. I simply think it's the Springfield junior football team is the Wildcats.
Okay, that might be what it is then, because that was bothering me. I just remember that scene where they're like, "Who are we? The Wildcats."
Yeah.
Who are we gonna beat? The Wildcats. that makes me feel a lot better.
That's actually a good question though. I don't know for sure if Springfield Elementary has ever actually brought up if they are anything but the Pumas. That was the first time I had ever heard they were the Pumas.
Yeah, I agree. I don't really know what their mascot was previously,
Yeah.
and honestly, I can't remember if it changes, but it would be interesting to know. We need to make a mental note here to keep an eye out for that down the road.
Yeah.
Is this also the first reference by Skinner mentioning that he was a nom?
Oh boy.
Oh, was it?
When he
catch
sees
that.
the puma like all egged and everything, he's like,
Yeah.
my God, this is worse than Nom. Or we had some tough times in Nom, and I put a note saying, I think this is the first reference to him being a Nom.
I do know that this is the thing that gets Skinner to realize that the no good Nicks have actually taken over the school.
Yes.
And he actually notices then that Willie is getting arrested, and when he goes to investigate, we talked about, he realizes that it's Bart Simpson on the side of authority,
Yep.
and he says, "Has this world gone topsy-turvy?" And Bart replies, "I got my first taste of authority, and I liked it." So Skinner says, "No more bull spit. Let's make you hall monitor." So again, Lisa and Bart are very much kind of playing off of each other in that one is moving towards... Bart has become Lisa. Lisa has become Bart is really what has happened.
What
But
I
they
want
go
to
to the
say is like
extremes.
at that moment right there when Bart tries to join the authority, all I hear in my head is, "It's time to play the game!"
Yeah, especially after last night on Raw, if you watch. Last night was the night that Seth Rollins came out, and of course Triple H just made a fucking fool of him. But, hopefully he'll get redemption at Mania.
No, he won't. He won't be cleared.
Yeah, you're probably
Mick Foley
right,
versus Triple H at Mania.
Oh god.
I was betting on McFoley firing himself last night for what that's worth. For all of you that are listening to this show for the 2-week-old Raw discussion, that was what my thought was going, is that he was going to go out and basically put his job on the line so that he didn't have to fire anybody.
Yes, things happen.
Yes.
Coming from the guy who knows nothing about wrestling.
Suplex City.
I brought that up, at an
He
episode
does.
recently.
Yeah, no, I noticed that. That was your one and only.
And I went as extreme as I could with it.
Look, I know nothing about
Like I said, it's
baseball,
getting-
but I pulled it all over my ass.
Half of life is faking it.
Fake it till you make it, dude.
That's right.
I told somebody that on Twitter the other day. They're like, "Man, I have no idea what I'm doing in my life." And I'm like, that hasn't stopped me.
Yeah. Right.
You're telling us, bro.
Right.
Right? Yeah. Well, like we said, it's going to the extreme, and that includes both Bart and Lisa. Lisa has become every bit as bad as Bart ever was in terms of just talking back to the teachers and just really giving up on life. While Bart has become the ultimate hall monitor. I mean, really, he got off on the idea of being able to squeal on other kids. And he actually even went into like this kind of fantasy where he was like on the stand and he was like calling out a mob boss, but they blurred his face blue and they made his voice sound like Steve Allen.
With Steve Allen actually providing the voice.
Right.
That was
Isn't that
actually
great?
similar to like a big trial that was going on throughout that point. It was like a big rape trial that happened, and a woman like asked herself the face to be like all blocked out and everything, and that's the same blue mark that we saw on Bart Simpson's face.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that was a real life connection, but that makes so much sense.
I just like that you
I
got to
can't
hear
believe
Steve
I
Allen
pulled
say,
that
"I
out right
caramba."
now. Research.
My favorite part in this entire episode comes up when Marge and Homer are in bed and discussing the kids' issues. Marge brings up the fact that Bart's grades are a little bit up, but Lisa's grades are way down. And Homer says, "Man, we always have one lousy kid and one good kid. Why can't we have two good kids at the same time?" And Marge is like, "Homer, we have 3 kids. Marge, the dog doesn't count as a kid." No, Maggie.
Oh
Yeah.
There are points where, just like Homer, I sometimes forget that Maggie is a Simpson.
Just because she's so far superior.
Exactly,
Yes.
right?
Did you guys notice that in the earlier scene, in the next scene, when Lisa's in the bathroom and they did this, like, obviously, I catch all, like, signs, basically, on the show. When they're in the bad girl's bathroom, they're smoking cigarettes. The name on the cigarettes is Laramie Juniors.
Yes. Yes. Oh,
Because
yeah, that's fucking
they
hilarious.
marketed it towards kids, yeah.
Starting them young.
Yeah.
Lisa actually denies the cigarette, but she kind of pulls it off by being like, "I'll smoke it in class."
Yeah.
Which actually makes the like older girls like really impressed. They're
Yeah.
like, "Wow, when I was in 2nd grade, I was all like, 'Yes, ma'am,' and 'No, sir' type of stuff."
Yeah.
There's one other line with Lisa I really like with Skinner when like Skinner's trying to figure out what's going on with Lisa, and she's like, "Lisa, what are you rebelling against?" And she's like, "What do you got?" And I just feel like that's such a badass moment. That's
actually from a movie. It's Marlon Brando did it in The Wild One, according to my guidebook. So she has a toothpick in her mouth, which Marlon Brando also did in that movie. So
that's rad.
Yeah.
Other rad things would be when Bart actually gets to go to the confiscation room where all of the stuff that has ever been taken by teachers is kept, which my first thought was, like, wouldn't half of it at least be Bart's stuff himself?
Yeah. Like, there was a slingshot down there that I thought was his.
Yeah, there was, yep.
Well, he ends up getting a crossbow, and Skinner's just like, be careful with that.
Which you can't blame him for picking that.
No,
not at all. It seems like a great one.
Or the slingshot. Because that's Bart one-on-one right there.
Oh, that's Staple. It's like his skateboard.
It's either Bart's or he already has a slingshot at home, so he doesn't need two. So
probably has a little more supply.
Yeah.
Just like how you Texans have guns, Bart has slingshots.
Yes, we keep them in our sock drawers.
Americans.
It's a lot more.
No, it's Canadians here. We throw snowballs, not bullets.
Is it like the South Park game where the yellow ones hurt twice as much?
Yes.
Oh yeah, no,
exactly like that.
The white ones hurt even more because you got to really work to get the white ones out.
Oh god.
Do you guys have dire wolves that give you dire aids?
You know nothing of our dire wolves.
You know nothing about dire aids.
Canadians get make fun of almost as much as Mr. Glasscock, even though he assures him that they will not mock him any longer.
Now, I actually made a note of that.
We actually skipped over the part where Bart becomes pretty hypocritical as a hall monitor, because there is a point where another student is skateboarding in the hall, and Bart full on stops the skateboard, which is with his foot, sends the kid flying, grabs the skateboard, and says, "Not in my hallway." Now, we all know Bart himself has been known to ride that skateboard
during the opening credits of every single episode.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, he rocks a nice ollie.
Exactly.
For sure. So, yeah, definitely.
So just to emphasize the switching of the roles again between Lisa and Bart, this is what Bart has become. He's become everything that he was once not before.
Did we mention the stubby fingers and how Homer dropped the beer?
Oh, we forgot that, but you're totally right.
Dropped the beer.
Because of the stubby fingers. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Going back to
you see Homer, like, after Lisa is told that she can't play saxophone because of the stubby finger syndrome, you see Homer on the couch drinking a can of Duff, and he's like playing it like a trumpet pretty much and just drops it all over the place.
Stupid stubby fingers.
That's one of my biggest issues with this episode is, like, I don't understand why Lisa cares what this one dude says about her playing sax. She's been playing with Bleeding Gums Murphy. She plays all the time. Like, everybody knows she's great at the saxophone. She busts out into her own little thing during, like, performances at the school. And I understand it's for the episode and it plays into her going the opposite way.
I think it's more maybe as like an 8-year-old kid, no one ever told her that she didn't have the chops. They only ever told her she was good. So for finally someone to come along, or not even someone, but a couple people to come along and say, hey, you know, you're not meant to do this, you're meant to do this. And then for the jazz music instructor to say, no, definitely not. That probably rocked her world pretty hard as an 8-year-old kid.
And knowledge is power.
Yeah.
Well, and bad parenting again, because there's so many instances of musicians and like professional basketball players like Michael Jordan where they failed at their earliest attempts at a young age or told they can't do it. There you go. And then they come back stronger.
Yeah.
Baseball.
No, he was never played baseball.
But he played.
Yes, he did.
He ain't no Bo Jackson, I'll tell you that.
Like Tim Tebow, he played.
Yeah.
There's another visual gag that, or not even really a gag, but it's a representation of this character switch that I really, really loved. And that's when we go to a scene with Lisa sitting in class, and instead of paying attention like she normally does, she's actually carving a skull and crossbones into the desk.
Yes.
It's one that we've seen many times before, but with a twist. It was the classic Simpsons skull, but instead of it being Bart, it was actually Lisa's design.
Yes.
And I just love that.
Yeah.
I thought that was really, really rad. That led into a confrontation with the teacher where she was correcting her correcting someone from the class out of the teacher's guide, and she like misread the answer.
Yes.
She was like,
She was correcting Lisa, who had the nickname Old Hickory.
The answer was Andrew Jackson.
Yeah,
there
and she said the Battle of New Orleans. I mean Andrew Jackson, because that's the battle that made Andrew Jackson famous. Is the Battle of New Orleans, and he got the nickname.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yes. And then Lisa flat out told Miss Hoover to shove it at one point. Yeah.
And then she's like, "You're clearly earning your $18,000 a year." Ooh,
that's a serious burn right there, especially to like real teachers of today.
Well, when Lisa is serving her detention, she decides she's fed up with these idiots who are teaching her, and they would be nothing without their teacher's edition, which gives her an idea. She's going to steal all the teacher's editions.
Yes.
So she does.
In that scene, she's cleaning the blackboard erasers out the window. If you look at the window to her left, there's clearly a bush line over there, and it looks like it keeps going, and then there's the wall in between the windows. Then there's the window that she's on, and there's no bush line anymore. That sounded dirty. But there's no bushes outside the window in that frame. It cuts to like an above shot outside where you see there are bushes below her, and then it cuts back inside when Bart sees that she's got detention, and all of a sudden there are clear bushes behind her in the exact same angle there wasn't some a second before. I thought that was kind of weird animation. It's like they couldn't keep the bushes there while she was actually out there dusting off the blackboard erasers.
Wow. Another thing I would have never caught, but I'm glad you did. They go to the teacher's lounge, and I love that every teacher in the lounge is smoking, and like the whole room was just milled with smoke.
Yeah.
But
it's all calamity breaking out.
So Skinner comes in to report that, hey, all the teachers' books, all the teachers' editions are missing. And instantly the teachers panic. They're like, declare a snow day. One of them is like, does anybody know how to do multiplication tables? Miss Krabappel actually puts Martin in charge of class until further notice. And they instantly launch an investigation to try to find these books. There's a shot with Chief Wiggum having the police dogs, and they're like, they picked up the scent of books in there and at the library. I thought
they took the battering ram up there.
The whole tank.
Bart actually suggests that they go and do a locker search.
Bets a steak dinner on it.
Yeah, that's right. He does. He said he bets a steak dinner that the books are somewhere in the school, and if they did a locker search, he'd probably find them. Skinner's concerned because he doesn't know if that's actually okay according to the Supreme Court, but Bart points out, hey, what have they done for us lately?
We get a great montage with the music as well. Dun, 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 dun.
Reminiscent of.
Yeah, we just talked about that movie last week, actually.
Like in a Beverly Hills Cop thing. I knew I had to laugh before I did it.
Man, I might actually watch those when we get done.
I have it on Blu-ray,
good fucking movies.
I think all four of us should do a review on those movies.
Let's fucking do
like
it.
A lot of
let's
fun,
just do it. I'm totally game.
Yeah, no, let's fucking do it, man. Let's start number one and work all the way through.
Actually, that would actually be really good for me because, believe it or not, I haven't seen any of them.
Oh my
gosh! Yeah, we've got a 3-part miniseries coming up. It's a Best Darn Diddly Wrassle Nerd collaboration project that we're gonna bring to you. We'll talk out the details later, but that's happening for sure. Totally.
It has to be during the weekend so I can get drunk while we're doing it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah. Maybe a beer review per movie too. We'll agree on a beer.
Oh, I thought you meant like one beer per movie. I was like, that ain't gonna work.
That's not.
No, we'll make up.
No. A different type of beer.
I got you.
Yeah, like we'll go best of Texas, best of Canada, and then best of anywhere. Boom. All right. So anyway, lo and behold, we all know it's coming. They find the books, and they're in Lisa's locker. It's Bart who catches her.
They actually found some really interesting stuff before that as well.
They did. I skipped over that. Please go ahead.
I was going to say Bart actually found a locker full of cash. Looked like millions of dollars in stacked $100 bills.
And that's U.S. dollar, not that Canadian.
Yeah, that's right. That's the big money. Yeah.
There's not like funny. There's not like watercolors on it or anything.
There was no Canada.
I never heard it called Canada. That's fucking Play-Doh.
You get something new here on the Best Darn Diddly Review Show.
But what else did they find? There was
there is an interesting thing there. If you watch it, there's a couple shots from above where it shows Bart opening a locker, and you see a ruler and an apple core. They use the shot twice.
Yes,
so like it literally looks like he's looking
that.
at the same locker twice.
Yeah, I did notice that, yeah.
Bad editing.
I call that saving money.
Exactly. They probably switched to Geico.
What the fuck is Geico?
But they do inevitably find the teacher's editions in Lisa's locker.
Yes.
And Bart is kind of just taken back. He doesn't really understand. He levels with Lisa, like, why'd you do it? And Lisa kind of breaks down and realizes she's gone too far.
Yeah.
And she's really taken a bad direction here. And Bart kind of has a very Bart, but still very sweet moment where he talks about, Lisa, you're more talented and more smart than any of us, and you're going to go so far.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be there to borrow money from you.
Yes.
It's really a sweet moment, man. Like, this is the thing
really
we talk
is.
about on a daily or a weekly basis. One character has everything that they want, and everything's going great for them. But to hit that natural reset, they're going to have to sacrifice everything to get things back to the way they're supposed to be. And like, I feel like that's a really big moment for Bart, and it has to deal with his sister, and it works best with his sister. If it was Homer or Marge, he would have been like, oh, well, I have to do it. But it's Lisa, and she's struggling so bad.
He has a choice here.
Yeah, he makes the conscious decision.
He
to
could have
sacrifice.
fucked her over, but he takes the bullet.
What's even crazier about it is you definitely know they've switched roles when you have Bart saying to Lisa, or basically convincing Lisa that, look, like, whoa, what you've done here, you've gone too far. Like, when Bart is telling you that you've gone too far,
you've gone too
far.
He said, even I wouldn't do that.
You've done fucked up somewhere. Yeah, totally.
Definitely a huge Bart moment there. Yeah.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
Big time. And it ends with Bart taking the punishment for his sister, and it starts out with Skinner going to take it easy on him because of all his recent service, and it's only going to be 400 days of detention.
Yeah.
But then Bart talks back, and then he's like, well, how about 500? Yeah. He talks back some more.
Total Breakfast Club moment right there.
Total Breakfast Club. How about 600? Well, how about I shut my mouth? And,
as we all would do at that point.
And then the new hall monitor Milhouse takes Bart to detention. And we end this episode like we begin so many, with Bart writing on the chalkboard. In this case, he's writing, I will not expose the ignorance of the faculty.
And then again, what's funny about Milhouse taking Bart away as the hall monitor is that Bart, as the hall monitor, gave Milhouse a bunch of shit earlier in the episode.
That's when Milhouse ordered.
We're actually shooting one of the bullies in the face with a straw.
Yeah. But I love Milhouse yelling in that moment because he said, "Sure, we have order, but at what price?"
Yeah.
Which a lot can be said about modern times with that too.
Yeah, really.
This whole episode
again, Simpsons did it.
To do with modern times, the cops giving guns to kids.
The Simpsons is always, if nothing else, ahead of its time, especially in these early seasons, and it's usually really, really fucking entertaining. Guys, honestly, now the more we talk about these episodes, you guys really did fucking hit the lottery in terms of guest spots.
Yeah.
Like, these are two...
And we ruined it!
As good as Homer at the Bat was, this episode held stride with it, is the amazing part.
Yeah.
I think Homer at the Bat is a better overall episode, but that is not because this episode is not really good.
No, not
Richie, you called that at the top of the show.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
So that does bring us to the end of Separate Vocations. But before we get out of there, Wrassle Nerds, was there anything else that you wanted to talk about this episode?
I love the fact that, like you just said, literally like you just said, it was a great contrast between the two, watching one that is as great and as memorable as Homer at the Bat, and then go to one which is like a more like really touching Simpsons moment where you get the role reversal between Bart and Lisa, and it speaks to a lot of like women of today in saying that, you know, being a homemaker as well is not a terrible thing by means. They're extremely important. Like, ladies, don't for 1 second think because that, you know, just because you sit at home doing whatever, you're more important than any of us ever are. You know, just all that. It was a great 2 episodes to have one so funny and then have one take on a more serious touch between Bart and Lisa and that.
But still packing enough humor.
Oh, of course. Oh, it's The Simpsons, of course. Yeah.
Absolutely. Goobs, did you have anything you wanted to add, brother?
Yeah, I would like to say to Mr. Odor there, please don't punch one of our star players next time you ever meet each other. I really appreciate that. I hate baseball altogether, but I love the Simpsons episode that we talk about baseball. But yeah, Rangers can suck it. Blue Jays forever. And that's all you got to say about that.
Goobs just turned heel. I love it. I love it. Richie, I know you've got a lot to say. Please respond, but don't forget to mention your book as well when you're done ripping into Goobs here.
All right. Well, first I will point out the Simpsons, A Complete Guide to Our Favorite Family, pointed out that the computer at the beginning of the episode that was grading all the tests, Emma, it was made to look like she had a face, and you could see the test answers going in, and it was made to look like a face. It definitely looked like a face.
Jose Batista had a face too before Odor tried to punch him in.
And surprisingly enough, more people recognized him after. It's almost like he improved the way he looked. And then also there were skulls in the entire episode. Miles mentioned the one getting carved into the desk, but the bad girls in the bathroom, one of them had skull earrings. Snake had a skull dangling from his car. The guidebook pointed all that out, so I wanted to throw that in there. And I just wanted to say, I don't know if you guys paid attention to this. I know you saw it, but I don't know if you understood the meaning behind it, at least for me. In the last shot, when Bart's writing on the chalkboard, Lisa's outside playing her sax, and Bart says, like, sounding good, Lisa. And, like, how important is that? Because Lisa was told earlier in the episode, she was crushed earlier by what was being said to her from all this stuff. But Bart making this incredibly really selfless sacrifice at the end. Yeah. It gave Lisa her confidence.
Message at the end of it, besides one of your star players punching one of our star players.
All I gotta say is, you know that you have a badass on your team when Adrian Beltre is holding on to Joey No Bats, and Beltre's in the middle of it, and the entire Blue Jays team runs out there, and not one of them tries to take Batista out of Beltre's hands. They just let him sit there.
That's all because it smelled a bad odor.
No, it's because nobody wanted to fuck with Beltre. And all I gotta say is, we'll see what happens this year. The games are probably the most entertaining games I watch all year. I look forward to them.
If we make it to the playoffs and knock a team out again, we'll do a story afterwards. But if it happens the other way around, it won't happen.
Now, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
All I gotta say is,
like talking shit.
But Batista doesn't even want to stay in Toronto. He keeps holding them over the coals for money. I don't even know why anyone up there likes him.
Now, sadly, he finally re-signed, but...
And who else did you guys lose this year? You lost...
So they love him again.
Not to the Rangers.
We
lost Edwin, and we got Morales.
But we didn't lose to the Rangers.
Either way, Richie,
well, we've had
I follow baseball, so regardless of what happens this year,
I don't at all.
You and I will keep the shit talking going, and I think it'd actually be fun. Like if the Rangers beat out Toronto or vice versa this year, that you and I should probably do something. We should interview one another. Like the winner should interview the loser.
I feel like there needs to be some sort of ridiculous bet. Like I want to see one of y'all like carve each other's name into your fucking pubes.
Well, if you really want to see him, let's turn the video.
I'm down.
Again, I don't know how many times I have to tell you fuckers, this is not a video show. It's a podcast.
I said I was going to turn the video on. Like, you guys still would have seen me.
No, we rocked the video, so there could be pubes on our
We're going to have to go on the Wrassle Nerds show to get that going.
Sure.
So we'll work that out later. But I don't have anything to add to this episode, but I do need to say, and I want to say thank you guys so much, Wrassle Nerds, for taking the time to do this. To be honest, you totally fucked this episode up, but that's okay. We're going to give you another chance down the road. It'll be fine.
Thank you, Lord.
Yes.
No, thank you, Jeebus.
No, but in all honesty, we had a blast talking to you guys. We really appreciate you taking the time to come on our show. We hope you had a great time talking The Simpsons with us, and we do hope you'll come on back down the road.
We absolutely will.
Next time we got 4 hours.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There you go. Yeah, we'll have to make more time. So, is there anything that you guys want to plug? I think there should be at least one little show on the interweb that you should talk about before we get out of here.
I think we can think of something, and that is that you can follow us, the Wrassle Nerds, on Twitter.
I fell over at...
Goobs, did you just fucking drop shit during your own fucking
like the Blue Jays in the playoffs?
Yeah, I did.
Just taking forever.
Start that shit over, Ripken.
You can follow us on Twitter at Wrassle Nerds. That's
WRASSLENERDS. Wrassle Nerds.
Ripken, how long did it take you to teach him that?
Oh, a long time. You can also find us on YouTube. Just search Wrassle Nerds. It's all one word. And follow us individually on Twitter. I am at RipkinWN.
And I'm a GoobsWN.
And that's pretty much all we got to plug.
Awesome. Richie, what about you, brother?
As always, you can follow me on Twitter. I am at thewiz_kid23. Also, while you're on Twitter, give our show a follow. We are at Best Darn Diddly. Diddly is Diddly. And tell us what you think about each episode. And just on a personal level, guys, this probably was the most fun I've had on any single show. Like, this was a shit ton of fun. Goobs needs to work on his shit talking a little bit better. But after that, the show will get elevated all the way.
Fuck you, eh? I'm going to come down to Texas. I'm going to I'm going to kick a fucking mud hole in your ass. Give
you know why that's not going to happen?
Style.
Dude, you're only proving him right.
I'm from the U.S. and we lock our doors, so the only way it would work is if I walked up there and came in your house.
Dude, the wall's gonna be on the other side, bro. You're not safe.
Doors? What the fuck's wrong with you, man? People come in, give you food.
How do you expect strangers to come in and just compliment you?
Hey, man, nice decor. Thanks, man.
We don't thank people in Canada. We only apologize. So we'd like to say sorry for you having us on your show.
No, but for real, guys, it was a lot of fun. Thank you guys so much for being on today.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks, guys.
I am at Mr. Most Days Off everywhere online. You can find me. Real quick, I want to do a couple Twitter shout-outs. First to Chris Manley, 2013. Cool dude from Liverpool. If you like wrestling or The Simpsons, you'll like talking with this cat. Also, we don't say it enough, but big thank you to Steve the Fan at The Fans Podcast. Go to his network, his website, thefanspodcast.com. Check out all of his great shows, including ours.
My name is Steve. Is he stealing my gimmick?
Is your name Steve?
Yeah.
I've never known you as anything but Goob.
No, I'm fucking Steve.
You just ruined the illusion.
Well,
it's true.
Yeah, you just fucked up your gimmick, bro. You just fucked up your gimmick.
I hate myself right now.
Other than that, we look forward to seeing you next week on our podcast when we'll be reviewing Dog of Death and Colonel Homer. Again, everyone, we did have a technical issue this week, so next week you will actually be hearing the first half of this conversation with the Wrassle Nerds discussing fan favorite Homer at the Bat, and the following week we'll be getting to Dog of Death and Colonel Homer. Thank you again for listening to the Best Darn Diddly Review Show. We'll see you next week.